The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody. Just wanted to welcome you to our webinar today. We're going to get started in just a minute. We want to make sure that everybody's logged in and that everything's going smoothly. So just give us about 1 minute and we will officially start the webinar. Thank you. Okay, it's a little after 1, so we're going to get started. I wanted to again welcome everyone who is joining us today for our webinar, Twitter Medical Marketing and 10 Patient Consulting Tips. I'd like to introduce our two panelists today who have a combined 45 years of experience in marketing for the elective medical industry. Glen Lubbert, our first presenter, is the president of Mojo Interactive, an 11-year-old return on investment focused internet marketing company, which is the parent company of LocatedDoc.com, a patient lead generation service for the elective market. Glen will be using social media like Twitter to connect with more prospects and turn them into patients eventually. Cheryl Whitman is our second presenter. She's the CEO of Beautiful Forever, a full-service aesthetic business consulting company focused on the medical spa, wellness, and aesthetic practice industry. Cheryl will be speaking on the secrets to a successful consultation and give us 10 expert tips. We will be doing Q&A at the very end, so please, throughout the presentation, be submitting your questions to us via our chat option through the webinar, and at the end, our panelists will be answering the Q&A, the questions that you have. If we do not get to every question, we will be following up with the with the attendees afterwards, so your question will get answered even if we do not have time for it today. So without further ado, let's get started with Glen and learn more about how social media can bring more prospects into your practice.
Thank you, and thank you for participating in the webinar today. And good morning to those of us here on the West Coast, and good afternoon to those of you guys on the East Coast. I'm going to be focusing my presentation around Twitter, and that's primarily because Twitter is the leader in what's called the real-time search. And Twitter is being replicated by Facebook with all their features and functions, including this real-time search. If you consider Google as the archive search, articles that were written yesterday or last week or last month and spidered by the search engines and archived within the Google database, that's the archive search. Twitter is more akin to the real-time search, which is what is happening right now and it being archived right now. this is popular for things like breaking news, sporting events, conferences. The breaking news for the Hudson River plane crash. The original first picture was taken from someone on their cell phone and tweeted about it. And the Iran elections, things that are not yet published and archived in the Google archived search. What else is also being tweeted about is real-time experiences, and that's where it connects with what your patients are doing and how you can also interact with those patients and make Twitter part of your. Right now, if I was tweeting live, I'd ask if anybody is tweeting about this, is anybody on Twitter? And if you are, that would make you part of the nearly 30 million people that are using Twitter right now. If you are on Twitter right now and actually are tweeting about this event, I want to let you know that we do have a hashtag for this event. So for those of you that don't know what a hashtag is, real quickly, hashtag is a word that helps connect all these tweets into one single collection of events. So the hashtag for this event, which is a hashtag is the #, is get patients. For those of you who do not know what that is, I'll explain that further down the line here in our presentation. So the ones that do know are part of the 30 million unique people that are using Twitter, and the 50 million unique Twitter users are coming by the end of the year, according to Time Magazine, who wrote a cover story this year on this spring on on Twitter. So what actually is Twitter? Well, it's similar to things you already know: email, text, blogging, RSS feeds if you are there that far. It's basically a short message, 140 characters, and often called microblogging, since the collection of these individual tweets make up what is similar to a blog or a online journal of what you are doing or what you think is interesting. So a tweet, individual post, a collection on Twitter, 140 characters. And actually the reason that the limitation of 140 characters came into being is interesting. It actually was due to that is the limitation of number of characters that are allowed through a text message when you send a message from one phone to another. So they made this limitation so that these individual tweets could be sent out on cell phones. Who's using Twitter? Well, it's primarily male, but just a slight bit. And you can see there's a great number of users in this 35 to 49-year-old range. There are people that are buying HD televisions, DVRs, and blogging, people that are actually online. It gives you a sense of who is actually your target audience when you use Twitter. What can you use it for your practice? Well, marketing and PR is basic, and that's where you want to get started. Posting things about your practice, events that are happening. Then you want to use it to connect and converse with your patients and colleagues. Keeping track of what your industry is doing, whether you're at a conference or not at a conference, looking at it to drive traffic to your website and obviously generate leads, and then having your employees and yourself personally tweeting about your practice to help enhance your brand. Now, I'm going to go through a bunch of examples of all these individual items. Before that, I want to just give you a basic of an individual tweet. So this is an individual tweet. It's made up of 140 characters, and here, as you can see, it has a link. It has a little description, and it has actually, this one's a really good tweet because it has a hashtag. So if anybody is searching for this keyword, plastic surgery, and you notice how it's all one word with this hashtag, this number sign, that helps group it for people that are searching. You can still search the real-time search without these hashtags, and it will pick up these words, but this is a helpful tool for it. So I said our hashtag is get patients. So you would use any tweet you made would have your description of what was being said or your opinion, thought, the number sign, and then the word get patients. Here is the username of the doctor that is posting this tweet. And often you see this with the @ symbol at the beginning. You saw this with my name at the first entry slide. This doctor this is a nice tweet that he made. It actually has a link to it's a marketing promotion PR tweet, and it actually links to a picture that he posted of his flyer that they had for an open house coming up. Excellent use of marketing and PR via Twitter. So you don't want to just constantly doing marketing and PR. That would definitely not make someone want to follow you. You want to put some value to your followers, and you want to build your followers so that when you do your marketing and PR, they're going to click on it and link to whatever you're promoting, or even a call for whatever you're promoting. So you want to start to develop a following. And the way you do this is by looking at all those different items that I told you, the marketing, PR, connecting and conversing, and keeping track of your industry, participating in the Twitterverse. Twitterverse is what you would use to describe all these 30 million people, nearly 50 million as Time Magazine predicts, that are using Twitter. So this doctor is doing a great job of it. He's posting questions on sites such as Self, great site, and answering a question and then posting a bit about that here on his Twitter feed. It's linking to a third-party site. He's not promoting himself, but he is promoting that he is an expert in this area. As the person is looking to select a surgeon and they've been following this doctor, natural way for you to want to select a surgeon to continue to get to know them, this is a great way to do it. Not only is it a good way, it's a good idea to promote what you're talking about from a professional standpoint, but there's also some personality that you can let shine through. This doctor from LA posts some lifestyle tweets about some films that he likes in the LA Film Festival. He also does some fun picture quizzes where he goes online, finds pictures online, and does some fun stuff there. Another practice that is doing some fun stuff, they're talking about hair loss clinics, but they're doing some fun things like posting wasn't on this link, but there was a link to a Saturday Night Live skit about lasers on kittens. Maybe this one was it. And then they also did a fun fact. And they actually tagged it as a fact, so anybody searching for facts saw this. One of humans lose up to 100 hairs a day. Did not know that. So this practice is doing a good job of connecting with patients. Basically, they use the real-time search on Twitter, which is at search.twitter.com, or actually now they actually redesigned it so it's right on their homepage, where they're looking for anybody that's talking about LASIK. And then they're engaging directly with those patients. So you can see here when they're using this @ symbol. Whenever you use this @ symbol before the person's username, they're directly seeing that message, and it's going into their Twitter feed, and they see that message, so they can talk directly with them. This is a great way to participate in the Twitterverse. You're actually talking to patients, and they're giving them information that they need. telling them to go to great sites like Located Doc to find patients. The other thing that I like about this practice is that they are using a person's picture here. This is a person who is actually doing the posting for the practice, so it gives the personality of the practice. It's not just a logo. It actually gives some identity to the practice, so take that a step further. So you can decide where you want to go with that, but this is an excellent example of how they're using it. So this practice, they chose to use a logo on their Twitter feed, but they also chose to do a lot of posts about marketing and PR. Any individual one of these posts are not bad. However, one after another is a constant commercial, and obviously that's not something that someone wants to follow. So you want to really balance that out. This practice is using their Twitter feed to connect and converse, but they're doing it with their colleagues. So this one is talking to their patients and to their colleagues. Again, if you're at a conference or a show, it's great to tweet, and it also shows that you're an expert in that area, again, helping you build that reputation with your patients. Here is an example of the actual search results from Twitter. This is the real-time search. As you can see here, this is from a trade show that we recently spoke at. You can see that the results here, I did a search for the aesthetic show, or their hashtag was this. And this gave me all the tweets that were happening at this conference. This allows me to connect and converse with all the people at the trade show that are on Twitter. So I can start following all these people. A great way to meet new people that are interested in the area that I'm interested in. Conferences are great use for the real-time search. Not just because you can connect with these other people that are in the conference, but it is so powerful because it changes the conversation from being a one-way interaction between me as a speaker and the attendee listening to a conversation between everybody that's in attendance at the audience. Not only that, but everybody that couldn't attend the conference can actually follow along with the presentation. So as I'm speaking to the audience is posting the key points that I'm making, and then talking about those key points. Me back at home, who couldn't attend the conference, is able to also interact with these same people and ask questions, and ultimately those same questions could be pushed back out to the presenter during the Q&A session. You know, there's so many conferences that happen and that go on, and you can't attend them all. You know, in the technology world especially, I want to attend so many conferences. And there's no way I can attend them all, but through Twitter, I can follow those conferences. I can see the key things that are going on. I can interact with those people, ask questions. I can start following those key people that are making the best points, because ultimately they are in the same thought space as I am, and I can continue to follow what they're thinking and talking about via Twitter. So those are the main examples for marketing, PR, connecting and conversing, keeping track of your industry and your competition, you know, through this real-time search. You know, using the generating traffic by posting links. And the last one area I said was employee twittering and brand enhancement. I didn't have a slide for that, but your employees are already out there twittering, and definitely your patients are out there twittering, and you can help by having some idea of what's going on by following your brand name out there. What we're doing on Located Doc is we are actually, if you're already on Located Doc, we are actually posting information about you into the real-time search. You know, if you are added to Located Doc, if you get a recommendation through Located Doc, if you post before and after gallery pictures on Located.doc. All these generate a post onto our Located.doc Twitter feed. We also post our latest news, items from our blog, etc. So even if you haven't even gotten started on Twitter, you are on Located.doc, you're already part of the real-time search. If for no other reason, you need to sign up for Twitter so that you can own your own brand name before someone else does. Think of an employee or a ex-employee, more importantly, or a patient who got a hold of your Twitter your brand name and was able to post items about you under your name. It's just like a domain name. You want to make sure you own your brand name. So, for no other reason, sign on to Twitter so you can at least secure your own brand name. So how do I do that? Go to twitter.com, follow the sign-up process on there. They've made it much easier. And start following your friends and colleagues on there. Look them up and listen. Listen to how people are posting and seeing what type of things they're posting. Very soon you'll start picking up the lingo and what is the proper way to introduce things. Keep in mind some of the items that I just spoke about and how to balance out, your personality on there and your marketing and PR. All these are important, but you're trying to build a following of people that are ultimately interested in you and your services. I suggest the Twitter book from O'Reilly. It's an excellent book, really easy read. It's almost written like tweets on each page, very small, short sentences with little tips and all throughout. Really easy read, highly recommended. We have our Twitter feed for Mojo Interactive. We do a lot of social networking posts on there. You can even see things that, like I said, Twitter is following, Facebook is following a lot of what Twitter is doing. They just started doing the @ symbol piece. We do some easy things like, have a great Labor Day weekend. You're talking and engaging with your audience there, the people that are following you. We also take our Twitter feed and we post it on our homepage of our website. The latest 2 tweets we post on our website. Something not so big about a full press release, but worth 140 characters. Yeah, there's things that happen like that. So those are items that happen on our Twitter feed on our Mojo site. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Follow us at Mojo Interactive on Twitter, on Located.doc. You can follow me, Lubbert, on Twitter. We're going to definitely send everyone out a white paper on how to get started. And that's pretty much all I have. I want to thank everyone for your time today, and I hope you got something out of it, and I'll look forward to the Q&A session. I'm now going to turn it over to Cheryl Whitman. Cheryl, I will be tweeting about your presentation after I sign off here, so thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Glenn. And because of Glenn, beautiful numeric forever is now, we're tweeting. And
I did see that.
So I'm happy to discuss today the expert tips of a successful consult and how to get more patients to say yes. That's our goal. Now is the time to transform your fee-for-service or aesthetic practice. Set yourself up for the future growth. Now that Ben Bernanke says that the recession's over, discretionary income spending will go up slowly. With the holiday season around the corner, keep that in mind. It's a good time to focus on gift certificates and increasing your conversion rate of your consults to increase your revenue. Okay, I'm moving to the next slide. The consultation. Possibly, oh, no, went one too far. The consultation. That is possibly the most important part of the service. The consult. Who is the perfect person? We're asked all the time as consultants to be the person to do the consultation. Well, if you are a physician starting out and growing your practice, you are the best one to do that, and you're the best one to grow the practice and build the relationships. When you get too busy, then you, the physician, should train an employee to do the consults. But at some point, if you're not in there doing the consult, you should come in, say hello, shake the hand of the patient, so there's a connection between you and the patient. The consult itself should be done in a format, and we'll discuss that moving forward. But who is the perfect person to be on your phone and to be at your front desk? Who's going to book this consult? Well, human resources is a big issue in every business. There's no question about it. But Glenn and I have had this discussion multiple times. Customer service trained people come from Starbucks who have had lots of training, the Four Seasons type of service. They offer their employees lots of training. Go and search out people from that industry. You can go out of the medical industry, think out of the box, bring them in a personality. They have that customer savvy skills. Then you could teach them about your services and your products, and that might be the perfect person to bring in to your practice. Create a step-by-step process. You have to gather information, listen to your patient's needs and wants, and communicate the treatment plan. Every member of your staff should be trained to follow the same procedure for every consult. Of course, their own personality is going to come through, but there should be a process. Consult should be a step-by-step process to determine what the patient really needs and what the person really wants, because sometimes they'll come in and it might not be something appropriate for them that they're asking for. My friend had CO2 laser, or my friend had a microdermabrasion, but that might not be the right thing that you'd recommend for them. So create the appropriate treatment plan for them and make your suggestions. And you must set the expectations to the patient to help to increase the level of satisfaction for the outcome. The first impression. Remember, you only get one chance. There's a lot of competition out there. So that person answering the phone, the way that the location looks, somebody walking in and looking at that front desk person, or if there's a concierge, that first impression and those people will make or break your practice. So role-playing scripts is very important. Have cheat sheets, if you want, at the front desk with questions and answers about the different services you offer. But the team should be very, very well trained. They should be trained monthly, not just once and say, okay, they're trained. Because we do a lot of telephone mystery calls where we do report cards. And you'd be shocked how many times they're put on hold or said, somebody will call you back, or nobody's here for 3 days, and they'll call you back. You need to motivate your staff. You need to create some sort of bonus incentive structure. So this way they're motivated to want to learn and want to talk on the phone, and it's really important that they feel that way and that it comes across through their personality through the telephone. So don't underestimate the importance of your front desk staff. I know most physicians would rather pay $8 and $10 an hour, but think again. It might be worth paying a little bit more to get somebody sophisticated who could really answer the questions and who could book your patients and schedule those appointments. That's key for all of your practice. So that first call that comes in, you have to try to book them. You have to get their contact information, at least get their email address, because you want to build your database. And always mention that you have patient financing options available. I don't care if it's Beverly Hills, Fifth Avenue, wherever your practice is. Just mention that. It does close. There have been surveys. 85% of your consults by just offering the patient financing options. And we'll talk more about that later. So whether you charge or you don't charge for a consult is always a big question. But whatever you choose, that same time and that same effort must go into each and every patient. Do not rush a patient because it's a free consult. Remember, we go back to that first impression. Interesting, the other day I'm in a hair salon, and I was talking to somebody, and they told me that they went to 3 plastic surgeons, and one of them gave them a free consult. But the free consult lasted 7 minutes. The doctor spoke so fast and rushed them out so fast. They liked the doctor very much, but they wouldn't use them or go back to that practice because they felt like the surgery would be done as quick as the consult was done. And that was an interesting perspective that I had heard for the first time. Motivation. Well, realize the opportunity. Begin with the right mindset before you sit down to do the consult. and remove the word sell from your vocabulary. So you're going to schedule enough time with no distractions or interruptions. Schedule 30 minutes. If it takes 20, if it takes 35, put a sign on the door, do not disturb, don't have your phone ringing. It is essential that you build that bond. And the hard sell does not work anymore. So an educational approach will win over a patient. Patients shop around, like I said before, and most of them, the average is they go to at least 3 physicians to decide where they want to spend the money and who they want to, whether it's a surgical or non-surgical procedure. So stand out, have them leaving real happy that you spent the time with them, that you show that you care, you've educated them. So do not rush them through that consult. Staging the room. This is one photograph from the Miami Institute. And basically, you can do a consult in almost any type of environment. This is one room. Then there's others where you can actually have it in the room where you're going to do the treatments. If it's on a comfortable bed where you do the injectables, that's fine too. Just make sure it's comfortable. Or for an interactive computer, if you have one, a touch screen, where maybe you can leave, if you need to leave the room for a minute, they can be on there listening and learning, or for a beverage. Always greet the patient in a timely manner. Remember, this is a fee-for-service. This is a retail business. You don't want to keep them waiting. Don't mix the sick patients with the well patients. And make sure when they call for an appointment, you always get them in when it comes to the aesthetics. Don't have people waiting 2-3 weeks for an appointment because you'll lose them. The script. Well, create that cheat sheet we spoke about before with some bullets that everybody could follow. Role play the office, create a series of questions and answers, and know the key facts that people are going to ask you. And as consultants, we've come in on site and we've done training programs, and it is very important that everybody, I don't care if it's somebody in the back who answers every 100th phone call like a bookkeeper, but everybody must know the answers and everybody must know the script. The engaged inquiry. Ask open-ended questions. You don't want to ask questions that have a yes and no answer. Ask for clarification if you don't understand something or they're not being clear or the patient doesn't understand. And keep the patient focused. Patients must feel like they are part of the solution. So finding, again, the right service or product for that individual patient will build trust and rapport with your patients, which is what your goal is. Quiet on the set. The words silent and listen share the same letters. We actually hear 450 to 600 words a minute, but our patients may only be speaking 125 words. So don't spend time formulating a response while your patient is still speaking. And I always laugh because, my husband's talking and I'm thinking about how I'm going to respond, and then I go back to think about this. So you really have to take time to listen and then give back a good response. So remember, you have their solution. You're the expert. They're coming to you. They're the patient. So they want you to listen to them. They want to be heard, and they want the response of, okay, this is the solution, and this is how we can help you. Becoming a better listener. It's not easy for some people, but you have to not be interrupted. You have to maintain eye contact, and you have to practice some of these things, even though they might sound so basic and silly. You have to learn how to ask follow-up questions. Listen carefully, again, for solutions, because the patient sitting in front of you might have their own solutions that you could then talk to them about. And explore any kind of conflicting statements. And have educational materials handy to show the patient. Also have a book with before and after pictures. Everybody loves to look at photos. So have something right there ready, so if they're asking questions and they're not sure, some of this information might help them. Now you wonder, did I get it all? What information is missing? So you're asking yourself, what were the patient's concerns? Did I answer them? What are the patient's values? And what are the patient's special needs? I must tell you that in all of the years of doing consulting and talking to lots and lots of patients as well as physicians, there are lots of fears that patients come in with. So my idea is to try to get those fears out of the way as fast as you can. If they don't mention them, you can mention them. Start talking about the patient financing option. This way the money part could be put to rest. Now, the primary, like a care credit, is a great program, but not everybody now, with the way that the credit scores are really going to pass a rigorous care credit and get all of the money. You might be offered half. So there's second-tier financing programs now, and there's a great one on the beautifulforever.com website. Under resources, we have Healthcare Finance Direct that we work with. And what we recommend is that if it's $3,000, care credit will give you $1,500. The other $1,500 you could put through Healthcare Finance Direct, and they have what they call a second-tier financing. And people with lower scores could absolutely get approved. So that's why I like that, because I want you to close more deals and make more money. So encountering the objections, employ the feel, felt, and found technique. Recognize the objection, sympathize, and share a simple solution. For example, if your patient seems interested in a service but is concerned about that cost, again, say to them, I understand how you feel. In fact, many of our patients felt the same way at first, but they found the results from the procedure were long-lasting and actually more cost-effective than any other option. So get the fears out of the way, and that was the fear of money and the concern of money. Booking signals to look for. Be sensitive to what the patient is focused on. Listen to their questions. Sometimes they use possessive language. If they take out a date book or they take out a wallet, depending on the questions they're asking, you will get a feeling whether they're going to book it on the spot or not. So if they're going to book or not, you don't know. Sometimes a person is very upfront and will say to you, book me, or what day can I come in, and that's easy. But sometimes it's not that easy. So you have to actually go through in your mind and ask some more questions until you feel the patient is satisfied. And once a decision is made, don't confuse them by offering more reasons to say, yes, they've already decided. So don't offer them anything else because they'll get more confused. Signals that indicate your patient is not ready. They're avoiding eye contact with you. They're making excuses. They're casually looking and handling the products and brochures. They're looking in different directions. They're looking at their watch. So start thinking of where did you go wrong? Have you listened closely enough? Have you offered the right services or products? Carefully and quickly do a quick review of what might have gone wrong. You may still have time to correct that consult by asking the patient to tell you again what he or she wants to achieve. There's different decision styles. Some people think logically, some people are very emotionally, and some will wonder how it's going to look to others or to their mate or partner. So every patient's going to have different decision style. The timing in their life is very important. There might be a reunion or a wedding coming up that they want to look good for. They might be starting a new job. They might be newly divorced and want to start dating. You have to understand the patient's needs and have a friendly discussion and let your personality come out. That's fine. The final act. Some patients will tell you to book their appointment right now, but others might have to be asked. In this economy, people are looking for added value. I could promise you that. The big question is, should you bundle your fees? Should you offer discounts? You don't want to set yourself up for the future for any kind of failure, but everybody wants to leave and feel like they made a great decision and they got a great buy. So offer something, some added value, whether it's a series or a package or programs. Let everybody feel that they leave happy and that they are off to a great start, whether they're getting the service done that day or in the near future. There's those that are going to book later. You need to follow up with them, whether it's a personal note, emails, a phone call. Send them home with a packet of information, and sometimes you can ask them, what is a good day that I can call you or email you, which do you prefer? And sometimes their partner might be the reason that they're not doing it. So you can tell them that you're happy to answer any questions their partner has, and they can call you. Usually it's a husband. But, most of the time the partner or the husband's not going to call you, but it's nice of you to ask. So they might have some additional questions they'll come back with. Are you marketing that consultation right? Are you getting enough people in through your website, through the social networking? Do you have call to action on your website Is your consult free? Is there a price tag on it? Does anybody know it? Does your office all know it? What's the added value to create that attraction that people should book right now? Your menu. Does your menu have information about your consult on there? So 56% of the 77 million Americans that are registered on the social networks are between 25 and 54. 55 plus represents the fastest growing segment, which was interesting when I read that in the New York Times the other day. So if you put your information out there in the social networks, as Glen talked about with Twitter, that is the future of, you know, every industry. So we really have to get on board, and I myself have to tell you I did it a little bit late, but better late than never. And I think that we all have to get involved in that interaction, and that social interaction that is with the social networking is great. Your website, make sure that you have a page on every page of your website, a fill-in box with information that they could fill out so you could know who and track who has been there. And it could be a small little box. Don't ask 100 questions. Make sure you have some sort of follow-up system or somebody in the office who's going to follow up on everybody that comes into your site for information. And that there's interactive part of your website, whether it's your blogging information or your Twitter information or ask the expert or ask the doctor, right there on your website. And this way they get to know about you, and they get to know about the consult, and you can post information. You could create questions and answers about that consult. So work on marketing the consultation to get more people through the door. Measuring the outcome of each consult. We've been to many offices, many spas, and I'll ask, well, how many consults were done today? One gentleman had told me there were 12. I said, okay, can I talk to the gal that did the 12? Spoke to her, and I asked her how many of them booked. She said 2. Well, that's very low acquisition number. So the acquisition cost per patient, you have to be thinking about all of this, because get somebody through your door costs a lot of money. So to compute the acquisition cost per patient based on the outlay for marketing and advertising, you've just outlaid $20,000 that month, and all those people just walk through the door and back out. That's not a good conversion rate. The net conversion per source. So the net conversion, what percent of your leads for each referral or media source is converting into a paying patient? So even though the phone rang 50 times after you did an email campaign and 25 of those people came in, how many of them actually booked? How many did you convert? A good conversion rate would be 80%. That would be excellent. But, you know, most physicians are happy with 50%, but it really should be a little bit higher than that. Return on marketing investment per referral source. How much revenue you generated compared to how much you spent. So, you know, it could have been an ad for $5,000 in a fancy book, or it could have been an ad for $500 in a local paper. So you have to figure out your numbers, and we help our clients to do that. Your confirmation rate should be 80 to 90% rate. So a message or a voice message doesn't count. Measure. It's very important to keep these measurements and to understand. And if you don't understand, have somebody come in and set up a measurement or a metrics type of program for you. Increase your conversion rate. Utilize the gold standard care and equipment. So if you're there for your patient, you do a good job, your conversion rate will be very, very good. And you need a marketing plan, and you need to create a budget. If you need help with that, you can email info@beautifulforever.com, and we can help you to try to figure out your why your no-show rate is high, or what your conversion rate is, or what it should be. Now that you have the patient, how do you retain them? That's the most important, is retaining that patient. A successful consultation needs to be followed up with a successful service in order to score full points. If you're not the provider, make sure you greet the patient, as we talked about before, and the patients judge their experience at your office by the way they are treated. You can also do surveys. You can survey your patient base, whether you want to find out how the customer service is at the front desk, or you want to bring in a new piece of equipment and how they would feel about it. You might want to create a rebooking program where they get a discount if they rebook at the time that they leave. funny. I just went to a hotel and they had that same thing. If you rebook your next trip, you get 10% off. So the positive office experience when they leave is a big part of how they're going to feel, and you do want happy patients. Now that you have the patient, again, retaining them is making sure their expectations are met, rebooking them, send that follow-up note, and think about those patient surveys. Cross-promotion. Offer a complimentary consult for new and existing patients. Now, why did I say that? Because you have existing patients that come back every 3 months or 4 months for Botox. They might not know that you now bought a new laser or you have a new, Zerona. They might not know what's going on in the practice. So you might offer free consults or complimentary consults to your existing patients for new services and discuss how different services will enhance different things for them. And then always prescribe products for home use. I'm a big believer in private label, so they go home with something with your name on it. But as long as they go home with product that will enhance what you've already done is a plus, and they will come back to repurchase. Service and communication. Adding new patients is costly, while maintaining your existing ones is much cheaper in terms of time, and repeat patients are like gold to your practice. Treat them well, and they will boost your bottom line with their referrals and their recommendations. Good customer service doesn't cost. It pays. So please remember that, because it is very true. Satisfied patients, that word-of-mouth marketing, we call it WOM, will bring in more people. You can also offer some gift certificate program to the satisfied patients. If they recommend 3 to 5 patients, you can have a gift certificate program. But that returning patient is very valuable to you. Building patient loyalty, stay in contact with your patients, have monthly newsletters, let them know how they could find you on Twitter or Facebook, offer programs for the repeat patients, and host seminars on a monthly basis. And invite your potential new patients as well as your old patients. Just keep staying in contact with them and offer different programs for your repeat patients, whether it's a membership program, a VIP program, the referral program, bring a friend, packages so they could save some money and get all the services that they want done. But hosting those monthly seminars are really great because they don't cost you a whole lot. And your internal marketing, all of the emails that you have in your database, could now be utilized, and you can send out an email letting them know about your monthly seminars. And come up with some very interesting topics so they'd be very interested to attend. Keeping ahead of the trends, just stay ahead of your competition. You must know who your competition is. Keep your patients informed and choose the right staff, as we talked about earlier, but stay ahead of the competition and explore new devices, new services. Doesn't mean you have to buy them all, but you should know about them so when people come in, you're on top of your game. We've created the solution, and I'm proud to say we offer the only educational guide. If you buy the printed version, it's over 500 pages and a CD-ROM, the Aesthetical Medical Success System. It's now in its second edition, and it is your roadmap to success. All you'll need to know to grow a business to the next level. And it's a great overview about the entire industry. And we have a special offer that you offer within 7 days, and we will give you a free 30-minute consult, which includes website assessment and some other things, and the value is well over $300. The Aesthetic Medical Success System is the complete guide and the listing of everything from creating your concept to your business plan, to your menu, to your branding, to your marketing, to your insurance, to operating efficiently. And we put together an economic stimulus package, and now we just are going green. If you're a plastic surgeon, you can go to plasticsurgery.org. They sell the aesthetic system as well as the aestheticmedicalsuccess.com website. And I want to thank you very much for your participation today. It was great. Any questions, info@beautifulforever.com. And Glen, I thank you for inviting me here today.
Thank you, Cheryl and Glen. Those were excellent tips on both how to use Twitter for medical marketing and on tips on how to have a successful consultation that everyone can use. We do have about 9 minutes for the Q&A session, and I did get lots of questions in, actually, from our participants. that were sent in on the topics. So I will have our panelists answer. I'm going to read the questions now, and I'm going to alternate some questions either they're on Twitter or they are on patient consultations for you, Cheryl. So the first question is actually on Twitter for you, Glen. Let's see. The first question was, how do we get Twitter followers?
Well, that's a great question. The way you get Twitter followers is by tweeting interesting, relevant items and engaging and participating in conversation. So what I would suggest is you first, again, like I said, listen. Listen to what people are tweeting about, and then start searching for what you're interested in. You can find followers online, like that practice that was searching for LASIK, people that are tweeting about LASIK. They start following those people, and when you follow someone, they get a notification, and they can also start following you. So it's a nice way to start gaining Twitter followers. But the biggest way is to tweet relevant information that people would want to follow you for. Not too many advertising, PR pieces.
Okay. Cheryl, the next one's for you. The metrics is a good idea. How do we set it up and implement it in our office?
Well, you could start by just creating a spreadsheet, and for every marketing piece that you do, make notes of that, put down how much it cost you, whether it's your radio ad or your local cable, your email blast, how much it cost you, how many people came in because of that ad. And that's one of the things, going back to the front desk must ask as well on the form when they come in. It must say, how did you hear about us? The same thing on the phone, how did you hear about us? So you can actually do better tracking. So you can track the people to see where they came from. And then at the end of a period of time, you could figure out how many people came in, how many people called, how many people had consults, and how many people actually spent money and how much did they spend. And so you can create a spreadsheet. We have done that for many practices. We've come in and we've set up programs within your database that you have now. And some of that might be available already through your computer system.
I'd like to add up on that, Cheryl, is that if you say where did I find you, if you say the internet, please be more specific. It's like, where did I find you? I found you on the earth. Please be more specific than the internet. How about which website or location did you find me on the internet?
That's a very good point, Glenn. I agree with that.
That is good. Glenn, you give the next question. Someone wrote in and said, I've been on Twitter for a while. I found that 95% of people on Twitter are actually businesses trying to sell, not regular consumers. How do I get more local prospects, and how do I connect with them?
Well, I'm not familiar with that statistic, but what I would say is that you want to, again, continue to engage with people that are online, that are interested in the same things that you are trying to promote yourself with. So not just tweeting about your services, but your personality and your practice in general, the things that go on there. There's more to it than just your services that you're offering. What is happening at your practice? What are some, as I showed the example of Mojo Active, we signed off going off to Labor Day, having a nice Labor Day, have a nice Labor Day weekend. You're really trying to build the personality around the practice, not just the services you offer. So one, you want to make sure you're creating the messaging that's going out. And then two, searching for things that are happening in your community, for example, that would attract the type of people that you want to have at your practice. If you were going to go set up a booth at a festival or event, there's the same things that you would physically go do at an event. You could also do and search, the real-time search virtually, to find out people that are actually at that event. And you can start following those people and connect with the people that way.
Okay. Thanks, Glenn. Cheryl, one more question for you. Also, someone wrote in and said, how do you train someone who thinks they're speaking properly to the patient and then gets offended when you try to give them advice and correct them?
Well, that's where I talked about doing it as a team and a group and offering a group incentive program, so it's just not like you're getting on one person. And do the role playing, because this way you're actually doing something interactive and you're not just pointing a finger. And it's their personality, obviously, and it's the way sometimes that people just communicate that they feel that they're being spoken to, in a negative way. But you have to let them know that this is an important part of their job. Then you have to do spy calls on the phone and call in and see how they sound on the phone. But that person might need some extra training, so you can do, with other people in the office, you can do some role playing, make up some cheat sheets where they could follow, for particular questions and answers, and you have to practice. And then have people calling in when the person knows that you're calling in, and then have some spy callers calling in to see how they answer. But they must be focused. They cannot put you on hold, and there cannot be any interruption if you want to help them to book that service and answer the questions. And that person just needs more training and more practice, and they might not be the right person for the job. So you might consider, again, as Glenn and I talk about, going to Starbucks and finding somebody who has great customer savvy, who's, the right fit for your practice, and train those people who, have that customer service retail orientation. And they might be much more open to learning a new business.
So it's, funny that question came up, and it's because we have a product that allows you to track your phone calls, and we looked at it first as an ROI tool, which is our main focus. But what we found was the fact that you could record the phone calls and listen to your front desk people take in those calls was much more of a interesting feature for our doctors than the ROI piece, and that became our main marketing push to our doctors, is because that was such a great feature to be able to not only for you to listen, but for the people to hear themselves talk to the patients themselves. It's just an eye-opener to hear yourself speak.
That's true, Glenn. And the other reason why I like that is because if you see that every phone call is only 30 seconds, you know that nobody's closing or selling or booking anything. So there's something wrong, or if they're 5-second phone calls. So if you don't have time to listen to the recordings, you can look at the amount of time that they spent on the phone, and that's also an indicator to let you know that there's a problem.
Okay, Glenn, a good one just came in for you. Is there any downside to accepting Twitter followers? Lately, I've been inundated with people following me, but I don't know any of them.
Oh, that's an excellent question. Excellent question. As a business, and this doesn't apply to you personally, but as a business, you should follow just nearly there's with a few exceptions, follow everybody that's following you, because these are people that are reaching out to you as a business that want to follow your business. You should absolutely follow everybody that follows you. It doesn't matter, it doesn't matter whether you know them or not, because they're reaching out to follow your business. And it's unlike Facebook or other things where you're at the friend situation. And then that's the difference here, where the term is key. It's not about being a friend. It's about having people that are interested in your business. Okay.
Yeah, that was a good question. Cheryl, the next one's for you, which you sort of touched on already. What is the best way to train a staff member to do a consultation?
Well, it goes back to what we said before. You have to write the protocols, and the protocols should really be something that the physician or the provider will accept and thinks is acceptable, because it has to be words and it has to be information that they would actually be giving to the patient if they're not doing it themselves. So you have to actually transpose that into, it could be a sheet with questions and answers, and then some bullet points, and then again the practicing, the back and forth, the practicing, the listening, focusing and looking at the person straight in the eyes. Not everybody can do that. it's interesting. As I said before, it's a silly little thing, but if you look at somebody, you'll see most people don't even look you right in the eye. So it's really the practice. It's actually writing down the questions, writing down the bullet points, and doing that role-playing on an ongoing basis. And as I said, we have consultants that actually will go in on site and actually do training sessions for a winning consultation.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl. We're actually out of time, so I'm going to have to end it there. And if we didn't get to your question, we did have lots of questions, so we will be answering them. We'll have Glen and Cheryl answer them, and we'll be sending them to you as a follow-up, so you guys will all get the answers to your questions. And another question that came in was, how do we get the white paper? And we'll also be sending you the white paper on how to get started on Twitter as a follow-up, so you will receive that. And again, I want to thank our panelists, Glen and Cheryl. Thank you so much for being a part of the webinar today. Really appreciate it. You guys both provided great information for everyone. And also, everyone who's attending will be receiving a post-webinar survey, so please take a couple minutes to complete that and give us some feedback. We would appreciate it. So that'll end our webinar for today. We appreciate your time, and we definitely appreciate your